Hello, my name is Hayley Parcell and I am the Head of Clinical Development and Operations here at Microba. This short tutorial will delve into the microbial metabolite, trimethylamine, and provide you with practical information on what you should consider if you find it to be elevated within your patient's reports. Trimethylamine, or TMA, is a compound that can be produced by some gut microbes. You can find trimethylamine within the Dig Deeper tab under the section Microbial Metabolites. And as you can see within this patient's report, TMA is sitting within the high range. And this tells us that the potential to produce TMA is higher than that of the healthy comparison group. After microbial production of TMA, it can actually cross the gut barrier where it then travels to the liver and can be oxidized into another compound called TMAO. Now, TMAO has very strong associations with cardiovascular health, and current literature actually indicates that high levels of TMAO can actually drive several underlying mechanisms, including inflammation, atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries, increased platelet aggregation leading to an increased risk of thrombotic events. And TMAO has also been indicated to have an effect on blood glucose control. High levels of TMAO can actually also predict numerous health outcomes. And when comparing individuals with highest versus lowest levels of TMAO in the blood, researchers have found that those with higher levels were associated with a 47% increase in all-cause mortality, as well as a 62% increase in adverse cardiovascular events and an 89% increase in diabetes risk. So if you find elevated potential to produce TMA in your patient's insight reports, you're certainly going to want to address this finding. So what considerations might you take for a patient with elevated TMA? The first thing is to address their red meat intake. Previously, research had indicated that both choline and carnitine were contributors to elevated TMAO levels. However, more recent research has now shown that it's actually carnitine specifically that has the highest impact, and one of the richest sources of carnitine is red meat. A study of 113 individuals found that those on red meat diets, which is equivalent to about 2 serves a day, was associated with a 3-fold increase in plasma TMAO levels compared to those on other diets. However, interestingly, the researchers also found that the result was highly variable and that some people showed up to a 10-fold increase, and people who had higher levels of TMAO at baseline diets had an even bigger elevation on the red meat diet. Therefore, we actually need to consider that the microbiome is a very important factor here and is likely why the response to red meat is highly individualized. Now that you've assessed your patient's red meat intake, the next thing to consider for a patient with elevated potential for TMA production is how can we aim to decrease how much microbially derived TMA is actually then converted into TMAO in the liver. Research has shown that the dietary indoles, indole 3-carbinol or I3C, and diindole methane or DIM, found in cruciferous vegetables will actually inhibit the enzyme that's responsible for converting TMA into TMAO. So increasing your patient's consumption of these indoles will aim to decrease how much TMAO is produced in the liver. So I hope you found that this video has offered you some very useful insight and dietary considerations for your patients with elevated TMA within their insight report. And if you found this useful and you're very interested in learning more about insight, please head over to the video tutorials page via the Clinical Resources Hub. Our team is also available to answer any questions or queries you may have, so please email us at healthcare@microba.com. And from all of us here at Microba, do take care.